Okay, Margie, what is the full name of your spouse, children, and grandchildren?
Okay. Well, I have been married for 54 years to Frederick Malloy Kyle Sr. I met Frederick at A&T, and I'm going to tell you a very quick story about that. You may already know this, Bonnie, but I don't know if you're doing that. But Fred was in the field of business, and I was in the field, as I said, of social studies. But most of my girlfriends were in business. And we also had a Virginia club at A&T, and he was from Bedford, Virginia. And so I knew him. But and he had been talking to a girlfriend of mine. The last night at A&T after graduation, we double dated. He dated Gert, and I dated a guy named Horace. And that was it. But after I got home, I got a letter from him. But I didn't answer the letter. And I think I got 2 letters. He was in the ROTC, so he went to the Armed Services. And after a couple of years, after a year, I went to Atlanta. And then in 61, we both finished the same year in 58. And in 61, as a part of my placement internship from Atlanta University, I was sent to Cleveland, Ohio. And on a Sunday afternoon, I was at the Browns football game, standing in the $2 window, and someone should say, Marjorie Payne. And I turned around, and it was Fred, and the rest is history.
That is so romantic.
I did not return his letters.
Did you save his letters?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Margie.
No, because I was... No. We were not an item then. And then, so we were married in 63. And from that union, we had 3 children. We had Frederick the Jr., and then 2 years later, we had Felicia, and then 2 years later, we had Franklin. And from their unions, we have 7 grandchildren.
Okay. And what are their names?
We have Frederick Malloy the third.
Wow, okay.
And John, Michael, Anna, and Zach are Frederick's children.
Okay.
And Felicia has Derek and Cole.
Okay.
And Franklin has Ashley.
Okay. And from which branch of the Huntley family are you from?
I am from the Grandma Sarah Payne's branch, who was the youngest daughter.
Are there any physical characteristics that run in your family?
I told Bonnie that she would be surprised as my results of that. I don't know whether or not I can say that facially I can say that there are any physical. But when I look in the mirror at my body, I see Irene's body from head to toe. I see Grandma Payne's knees.
Oh, yes.
I see every bit. If you walk behind me, you do not know that they're not Rena's. And one of the things I did get from my Aunt Irene, and really, when I was young, living in this house where I'm living right now, I'm on the same ground that Grandma Payne's house was. Her house faced Penniman Road, and my house faced Payne's Road. And there were many nights when I would sleep upstairs in a room that I have upstairs now, between Irene and Maurice, because I live right next door to them, and I was that close. But one of the things that Irene used to do, my Aunt Irene, I never called her Aunt. I don't know why. I never called her
call her
Aunt.
Rena.
I always call her Rena. On both sides of the family, I've never called them Aunt. But it's not because out of lack of love or respect, but I was not too far from their ages of the younger ones. That may have been it. But I can remember when Irene used to wear socks 24/7. And I said as a little girl, I don't know why she always wears socks. And then I have wear socks 24/7. It's the hardest thing for me to even get stockings on to wear to church. But physically, facially, I can't say who I resemble. But there is no doubt in my mind that anyone who looks at me does not know that I'm a Payne.
When I look at you, I see my mother, Irene. I have some pictures to show you where you're holding Regina's baby or baby, and I got a picture of Mama holding somebody, and y'all look like sisters or twins.
I tell you, I really feel like I know.
Were there any other family members living in the area?
On Penniman Road at that particular time, on the side of the church that I lived on, yes. Within walking distance, I had my cousin Eva and my cousin Antoinette. I had a distant relative, or maybe a second or third cousin. I had the Randalls. And as you have to understand, with us, I feel as though in Grandma Payne's family, I had cousins that I knew and grew up and played with all of the time. Mm-hmm. But then I have another set of cousins that I really did not know because I was so much older than they were. Mm-hmm. But in later years, since I've returned to Williamsburg, I have learned about those cousins. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten very, very close to them. And it's just a joy to know them and to see how many of the family traditions they are carrying it on. But I was close to one set of cousins, and now I am closer, or as close to another set of cousins.
Okay. And Cousin Pearl did she live over there when you were here?
She lived over there. I think she did live over there. I did not know her children because they were way younger than I was, I guess. But my dad had talked about him quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Now, the other cousins in the area, yes, like Fleming Brown mm-hmm. and his family, I knew them. Let me see, who else would be in that family? I guess those would be the two closest. But as far as knowing Kenny and them, no. But Charles and Walter and the older.
The Browns.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, Gladys was a teacher at Bruton Heights, and I could have very easily had her one of those years.
Okay.
With
well, that was one of the questions I had. Who was the oldest Hundley family member Hunley family relative that you remember as a child? Any of Grandma's brothers or sisters? Or
Believe it or not, as close as Newport News is to us, when I was a child, Newport News was a distance from us. To go to Newport News, you would go for Christmas or at different times like that. But I did hear of Uncle Doc and some of Grandma Payne's relatives. And I think it was on Grandma Payne's side that I knew, and I cannot remember her name now, but she was in charge of the school for the blind. And I used to hear a lot about her. And I'll have to ask my sister Carol if she remembers. But distance then made a difference.
Okay. And how about in this area?
In this area, the Randalls and the Lees and the Spradleys and the Browns.
Okay.
I knew of others, but they were on my mother's side.
Okay. Did you know Pearl Spradley's mother, Catherine?
No,
Okay,
not
you
that
don't
I
remember
can
any of
recall.
them?
I cannot recall.
Okay. Were any of your grandparents alive when you were born?
Grandma Payne and Grandpa Payne. Grandpa Payne was I think they call him sexton then, of the church. In addition to being the member and being a deacon. But I can remember coming over to Grandma Payne's and eating over here, even if Mother didn't have something I wanted. I can remember that, and I've said in present years, that Grandma Payne didn't do but one thing at a time. And when she babysat, she sat down and babysat. So when